Welcome back, friends, to a small sanctuary, and I am here with weeks 2, 3, and 4 of my Jewish Veganuary Vegan Shevat challenge. So come along and see me make some great vegan meals from scratch, and I'll let you know which ones I loved. Up here is pizza. This was one of my first vegan pizzas. I basically made it completely vegan, all from scratch, but I didn't have vegan cheese at this point. So I made the pizza with cheese for my family and left off the cheese with some roasted vegetables for myself. With the remainder of the dough, I made a beautiful crusty bread the next day. Here I am having some of my leftover pizza onto the next meal. Hummus with pickles on my homemade bread, and now it's time for hot dogs. I made those meat hot dogs for my family and these vegan hot dogs for myself, and I decided to go with all the trimmings, as you can see, and homemade buns as well. I quite liked these vegan hot dogs, but they weren't exceptional. They did just fine because of all the other accoutrements I had brought to the table, but okay. Now it's time for Shabbat dinner. My first week of Shabbat dinners was pretty subpar. So this time I decided to make something a little bit more involved. So I made this delicious Middle Eastern themed chickpea stew. Loads of curry and spices and lemon and ginger to give it a little bit of that kick. And it was definitely more satisfying than that suboptimal tofu I made the first week. Of course, I also needed to make a vegan challah, so I got the recipe from this book. It's called water challah, and it works just like white bread. I glazed it, instead of using egg wash, using molasses, and that worked well enough. It gave it a little bit of that sheen and a little taste of sweetness as well. So that makes a good alternative to either honey or olive oil or eggs, which are obviously not vegan. Here you can see my dinner, loads of vegetables and some fried fake chicken to go along with it, and it made a respectable Shabbat meal. I've also been enjoying vegan cereals with oat milk. Oat milk in my tea worked okay. It's not as good as regular milk, but it worked fine. And here I am stocking up on more vegan products, and this was really a game changer for me. As soon as I got the meat replacements and the dairy replacements in the second week of my vegan challenge, things became a lot easier. I had really been craving that creamy umami flavor of cheese, and the cheese replacements met that need pretty well. So that was definitely a discovery for me, that if I want to incorporate more vegan food in my diet structurally, then plant-based cheese products are definitely the way to go. I really liked this cashew blue cheese that I talked about before, and that made me very happy. I also got this cake as a little treat, and that was fine as well. Of course, the bacon was definitely a fun item to have, and I really like this oat milk too. The bacon was quite bacony, and my kids just had a blast seeing their mom eat vegan bacon. Here I am enjoying our Tu B'Shvat Seder, loads of fruit and veg. I've already discussed the Seder in the previous video, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but I just wanted to show you these shots of the tablescape, and the curry coconut milk butternut squash soup was really delicious, and a good time was had overall. Next up, grilled cheese sandwiches. I touched a little bit on these in my previous videos as well, but they were such a find, and I found that there was very little difference in quality between the vegan cheese and normal kind of, processed cheddar cheese, and that was a really fun discovery. So I had those all the time, and it was really great. Really hit that umami creamy spot that I mentioned earlier. Look at that melt. Oat milk, chocolate milk, I made regular chocolate milk for my kids. And I must say that the oat milk worked really well for chocolate milk. Yeah, there was a little bit of a flavor difference, but I'm still enjoying it here, as you can see. And it definitely made a good alternative. Part of the vegan month also entailed eating out. We are here in a vegan restaurant that we enjoy going to very much, and it is a very atmospheric and cozy place with an excellent menu, and we really enjoyed the special little lunch date that I got to have with my youngest child and my husband. She's enjoying her vegan food too. Here I am having barbecue seitan and fries, a salad, a burrito for my husband. It was all really delicious. And here I am enjoying it. Yum. For dessert, this chai latte and the crumble with the cashew cream was absolutely delightful. I love the decor of this place. It is kind of artisanal and I love coming here. Back to more baking. I made this banana bread and it was fine. It was a little dense and it didn't have as much stick to it, cohesion to it, as you would expect with an egg-based item. But it was okay and it was flavorful. But I still like my eggs in that sense. I wonder if using beaten aquafaba would make a difference, but that will be an experiment for another day. It did meet that delicious sweet spot that I was craving for and worked well with some vegan butter. More pizza time. Pizza, take 2. I really liked this vegan cheese. It melted well and it was creamy and almost indistinguishable from regular cheese. So I class that as a success. Leftovers the next day, always great. Fresh basil just brings it up a notch. Now, friends, it's time for my fake treif, my fake bacon. It's been decades since I've had bacon, so my memory may not serve me that well. But it did have that smoky, salty flavor. But was it like bacon? Probably not. But it did fulfill that function and it paired well with the grilled cheese sandwich. So that was really fun trying that one out. Off to start on my aquafaba project. I am making vegan meringues, and I've discussed this already in a previous video, so I'm not going to give too much commentary. What I didn't get to talk about last time round was the flavor of them. Were they as nice as egg-based meringues? No, they were a little flatter in flavor and they tasted a little bit like, well, you've guessed it, chickpeas. But especially if you incorporate them into an eaten mess or pavlova, I think they should be fine. And I'm still really impressed that this is possible. I'm kind of fascinated by the chemistry behind it, denaturing that protein and then making it pop out like that is just fantastic. So that was a fun project, and I will be saving my aquafaba, my chickpea water, in the future for future projects. I wonder how it will work in other forms of vegan baking, so I still want to try some of that. To be enjoyed, of course, with a cup of tea. Look at how airy that is. Isn't that amazing? Some more hot chocolate, oat milk based, because why not? Another tea time treat for breakfast with my non-dairy oat milk. Out of all the non-dairy milks I've tried throughout my life, I do think oat milk is the best one by far. Time for another Shabbat meal. I decided to make French lentils French style with a little bit of a red wine, of course. And my Shabbat meals kept on getting progressively better, I must say. I really liked this dish. It had that meaty, hearty flavor that you want in a winter Shabbat dish, almost like a challah, and I served it with grilled eggplant and more vegan challah that I made from scratch. And this time I also made za'atar challah, which is just wonderful. I can highly recommend sprinkling za'atar on your challah. This is the za'atar I use, authentic from Lebanon. Fantastic stuff. Here you see my challahs, fresh out of the oven, ready for Shabbat. And here you see my lentil stew. It was really good. I enjoyed this. Served with some salad on the side and my vegan cheeses. It was a little odd having my vegan cheeses while my family was having meat at the Shabbat table, but nothing wrong with that. Time to eat out again at this little Chinese place. I had these mushrooms, these sesame bowls, this Szechuan tofu with broccoli, and a little lunch of some leftover vegan cashew cheese. And this worked really nicely. Some sausage rolls or pigs in a blanket, vegan style. Of course, my kids loved this. And a little tea time break with that cake that I brought from the vegan store. Just taking a little breather to the day with this vegan brown sugar oat milk creamer. The last Shabbat, challah again, and this time I actually put the za'atar in the challah. And we are having this fake tofu chicken, which was really very good. My fourth Shabbat meal was definitely the best one. I made barbecue sauce, sauteed vegetables, and it really had that bite and that texture of chicken. So I would definitely buy this again as an alternative to real chicken. You can see me frying it up here. It held its own. I was kind of surprised to learn that it was made of tofu rather than some of the other meat replacements that have appeared on the market. Here's my homemade barbecue sauce, and this felt festive. One of the things I've been struggling with for Shabbat is to make the food festive. I had an easy time keeping the meals during the week, but on Shabbat I missed that extra festivity to my meals. Here's my za'atar challah, this time with the za'atar incorporated and all that deliciousness. This was definitely a meal that made me happy. And vegan cinnamon rolls for dessert and breakfast the next day with some blueberries as well. To be enjoyed with a cup of tea. And my kids loved it. Look at that. If you eat them quickly enough, there's not a huge problem to the rolls being vegan. If you leave them too long, they will become a little bit tough because there's no dairy fat inside them. Look at that blue icing, that's from the blueberries. And here is a delectable lunch with that leftover challah filled with za'atar. That was a fun trick, added some real flavor to it. Last pizza party of the month. This time I'm trying this cashew mozzarella. The texture was really great. It tore just like mozzarella, but I actually found it inferior to the previous vegan cheese I had tried. It didn't melt really well. It didn't have that creamy texture to it. It was okay, but I actually preferred the other cheese that I had earlier in the month. More vegetables, pickles, can't go wrong. And that, my friends, brings my vegan month to conclusion. I've already talked a fair bit about how I've experienced this, so I'm not going to go into that as much anymore. There is one more episode from the Sacred Table series that will be out soon, but I wanted to take you along for these meals. Thank you for joining me today.